Welcome to Leading Leaders. Again, we are on the road in Wilburton, Oklahoma at the River Church with Joe Woody and Kelly Johnson. We're here with Kelly Johnson now. Man, like I told Joe Woody that y'all are amazing at what y'all guys do. And you know, I'm not trying to make you think that I'm trying to butter you up or anything, but it's just, in all honesty, seeing the passion that y'all guys have to bring Christ to everyone. It is definitely, you know, eye-opening, where you're just like, man, they definitely have got moved by God to be and do what they're doing. And I just want to say thank y'all guys so much for being on this show, doing what God told y'all to do, being willing to listen to what God says. But can you please just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you for that. That means a lot to us, because that's exactly what we want. We want you to see our heart and what God's called us to do. And we do. We have passion for people. That's what we do. My name is Kelly Johnson. My husband and I, Joe Woody, we just recently took the church, the River Church here in Wilburton, Oklahoma. So the last few weeks we have took the lead role as pastors here. We also are the state youth directors for Oklahoma. We've been in that position for going on about 2 years, and it's been incredible. We came into PCG not knowing anybody, and they just took us in like family. So we've had that role as the district youth directors for the last couple years. It's been incredible. We're also parents. We got 3 little girls. I have Raylan, Taya, and Ashton. Their ages 11, 6, and 3. Have to think about it to make sure that it's right. 11, 6, and 3. We have 3 little girls. Outside of ministry, we work. I'm a nurse. I'm a surgical nurse. So we have a life outside of that as well. So we stay on the go, but we are blessed. Very blessed.
Awesome. And I'm so grateful that y'all guys accepted coming on here, because, man, I know it's busy in ministry and in life in general. And I'm just so happy that y'all guys were able to actually come on this show.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It is busy. It's busy for everybody. You know, it's busy for everybody. And this is what we love to do. So we're honored that you guys would have us on the show. Thank you.
Well, we'll kick it off with this question. And I'll be straight, transparent. These are not questions that I took lightly. Honestly, man, I prayed really hard on what God wanted me to ask you guys. And I really feel like he's just going to move in mighty ways in these questions. So in your experience, do you think that being in a large leadership role, i.e. the district youth directors that y'all guys are in right now, helped you spiritually be ready for the growth of your local youth, kids, and teens ministry?
Oh, 100%. Like, I can honestly say, before we took the district youth director position, we were also youth pastors. And so that helped us tremendously, just learning what to do with youth. You know, we felt the call of God on our life, and we just kind of went with it. We had an amazing pastor that helped us, you know, every step of the way, but we just went with it. And then we learned a lot about youth and youth ministry and ministry in general. I think youth ministry helps you prepare you for ministry in any area. If you can do youth ministry, I think you can do just about anything. But being the state youth directors, yes, 100%. One of the things that we say all the time is we get blessed to get to go travel the state. You know, we travel, we get to see churches all over the state, and we get to see how they do things. You know, you may do things differently at your church than another person does. And so we get to see that, and we get to take all the things that they're doing, and we get to see it, and then we get to apply it to our ministry. And so it 100% has helped us with that too. And one of the biggest things, planning events. We had never really planned a big event before that, but it helped us tremendously with that.
And that's amazing. That is definitely, especially planning events, man, getting a foothold in the knowledge of all that it takes to plan a large event is something that you're gonna miss and dude, straight up be shocked with when you're appointed to plan an event. You know, I got that experience myself for the event side of it with this Man Up that we did this last year, and then we did it technically this will be our third year doing it this year when we do it. But when we first did it, you know, it was kind of thrown together. You know, it was like, well, we need to do it, so we got to do it. And then the second year went into more planning, and then I got into this year, and I was just sitting there like, man, God, there's just so much that goes into this. I don't know how the heck I'm going to do it by myself. Like I don't know what I'm doing. And he really laid on my heart to even create a board. You know,
Yes.
I created a board of 6 other men and then 7, including myself, so we can have that dividing factor. And it's crazy because not only are you building a board to help your ministry run smoother, but at the same time, you're helping somebody else step out in a ministry that they don't know yet, right?
Absolutely.
So I find that it was very interesting that you put that as one of the things that you learned with district youth director, was because that comes very big, and especially what y'all guys took over now.
It is. And like you said, having other people help you to come alongside, you have to have other people. We could not do any of this without the people coming alongside us and do it. You cannot do it by yourself. 100%. You have to have other people to help you and to delegate. And to find everybody has a purpose, and everybody has something that they're good at that I may not be the best at, and that you may not be the best at, but somebody can do it. And to pull that out of them and to delegate that to them and to help them. We've had incredible help. We could not do any of this without ourselves, and people behind us that have helped us. But that is one of the big things that you don't always see what goes on in the background. And there are so many little details that go on in the background of everything that you're doing in ministry that you could not do without them. And so to have that's one of the biggest, it's helped us learn that tremendously.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I'm happy that he's helped install that into y'all's ministry. And, you know, honestly, you just look at y'all guys' ministry. Y'all guys did an amazing outreach today, and just knowing those little, we like in Pentecostal Church of God, we call them nuggets.
Yes.
Knowing those little nuggets of information, you know, is a lifesaver.
It is.
When you're going into that. So I'm glad that y'all guys got those pieces, and that you got that ability to be able to have that in your ministry already.
And like you said too, just the going around and seeing, I love like coming to your church. We got to see some stuff that we've never implemented, and it's working. And to see that in youth ministry, and you say, I'm going to plug that. I'm going to take that little nugget, and I'm going to apply it to my ministry and see how it works. Yeah.
And you know, people, and like you said, when you are put in youth ministry, which is where me and Michaela are at right now with Logan and Ricky, you don't truly know everything that you need to know. Like I hate to tell anybody that thinks that they're amazing at ministry, you're probably really good, but you don't know everything. And seeing somebody else like, man, I would have never thought that. That is very good. I'm going to implement that now. And it just makes your ministry better.
It really does.
Yeah.
100%. It makes it better. Yes.
That's good. I like that. So this is a very, very, very dear question to me, because me and my wife also have 4 little boys. How important is it to you to involve your own children in your ministry?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that, because that is our heart completely. We have 3 little girls, and we do everything as a family. I mean, we don't go anywhere without each other. If we're traveling, we can't take our kids where we can't go. You know, we just can't. They come everywhere with us. And so they see every side of ministry. They see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it is so important, because we want our kids to love God with their whole heart and to love ministry. You know, we want our kids to serve in ministry. Whatever they're doing, we want them to serve in some way. And so it's important to see your kids rejoice in every circumstance and to bring them along and let them know ministry's fun. It should never be a burden. It should always be fun. And so we need to instill that in our kids, and taking them, our kids, I tell them all the time, like, you're blessed. You know, you're blessed to get to do this, because you get to go around, you get to meet new people, you get to be in some amazing services where we're in the presence of God. You're blessed for what you get to do. And our kids are great. They absolutely love it. Traveling can be a challenge sometimes, you know, with 3 little kids, but they absolutely love it. But my heart is, I want to show my kids like how much fun it is, and to rejoice in ministry. Look at all the good stuff that we get to do, and instill that in them. I never want this to ever be a burden for them, but to always be a blessing.
Well, and it's awesome because, you know, and me and my mom and dad were talking about this the other day, which is, you know, you always hear, oh, well, that person came from good roots, that person came from good roots. And me and Joe Whitty talked about, you know, it doesn't really matter where you come from, because, you know, a lot of people don't know that my roots that I started in, my dad's mom was a witch. You know, she was a high priestess of a Wiccan church and stuff. But my roots started when my parents made a stand and was like, no, my kids aren't going to be in that.
Yes.
My kids aren't going to be around that. I mean, you know, I didn't meet my grandparents until I was 13 years old. But at 13 years old, I've already been in that line's been drawn where my mom and dad we're making this stand.
Right.
And that's what I love about y'all guys, is because you can definitely tell the stand that you're making there. Like, I want y'all to know that we're helping you establish yourself.
Yes.
You get to be able to be in this presence of God from when you're a kid all the way through your adult. What?
Yes.
I wish I could have done that, right? You know? And when I hear people say, well, they came from good roots, I always think, well, you know, God planted me, so my roots are amazing right now. You know, God planted me right where I'm at.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing to see y'all guys always have your kids with you, because it instills that in their life. Like you said, it instills the passion and the love for God that, you know, I've seen kids that come from homes where that God's not there.
Right.
Like they don't, well, he's there. Let me rephrase that. God's there, but they don't know who he is. They don't have anything to do with him because their parents are like, we don't believe in that. But, you know, you being able to instill that in your kids, now your kids are going to go to school and be like, man, I don't know if you know this guy named Jesus, but he loves you.
Yes.
And I know you're going through something hard right now, but I know somebody that can help you through it.
That's good that you said that, because we call them our little evangelists, because that's what they do. They'll go into the school and they're always telling me, hey, we invited this person, you know, to church, or we prayed with them. And even their teachers, you know, they'll tell me, they're like, you know, they're inviting their kids to church, and we love to see this. You know, we call them our little evangelists. That's what they are. They're our little evangelists. But we want to instill that faith in them. It's top priority. Like, make God top priority and make it be fun. You know, like, this is fun. Like, this is what we always wanted. We want this for you. You know, make it be fun. And your kids, pouring into your kids above all else, your kids. You know, we're going around traveling and pouring into leaders and kids, but we can't neglect our own kids in doing so. You know, in ministry, it's easy. Sometimes you can neglect your family, but that's, you know, making sure that your family and your kids are top priority and letting them see that as well.
I love it. And that's one of the things I even talked to Michaela about was, I want my kids, you know, David did some mess up things in the Bible, right? But he was a man after God owns heart. And the one amazing thing that I take from David is he made giant slayers.
Yes.
You know, he raised giant slayers. I want to raise my kids to be giant slayers. I want them to go out and be able to just, you're nothing, man. I know a guy he's got my back, and you're nothing compared to what he can do. You know, and it's amazing that you have to be very intentional with your kids, you know. And like you said, you know, you can find yourself busy trying to do all these things. But one of the things that I see in y'all guys and me and Michaela's relationship with our family is that, I'm busy, but my family's here with me.
Yes.
So I'm not busy anymore.
Right.
You know, I'm here with them. We're still going to do it together.
Yes.
So
and I love that you said that too, because you never know who you're raising up. You know, I pray that my kids can reach more people than we ever thought about. You know, you never know who you're raising up right in your home.
Yeah.
You know, you never know. You may have the next Billy Graham that you're raising up and that you're pouring into. And that may be your job, is to pour into them. You know, you never know who you're raising up. Always make it a top priority.
And then they can go, man, well, how did you start out in ministry? Well, I lived in ministry.
Yes.
This is my life.
Yeah.
And it's still my life. That's awesome. Ooh,
Yeah.
love it. So how do you truly learn to stand together with your husband in his ministry?
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of the things, like even with Michaela and this podcast, it was one of those things that she stood with me even if she didn't really want to,
Mm-hmm.
because she knew that it's what God called us to do. It's where God placed us to do. And then the same thing with her is, I'll be straightforward. I wasn't the biblical husband that I needed to be at first.
Mm-hmm.
When we first came into church, she was carrying all the load that I should have been carrying this whole time, because I was missing that spiritual guidance that I was supposed to be holding a position. And that's one thing that me and Joe Woody talked about, was that, man, if Michaela wasn't in my life, I wouldn't be here. And he said the same thing. If you weren't in his life, he wouldn't be here. And I really feel that God, instills those relationships in us to be one connected unit.
Yep.
So in y'all's ministry, how do you go about standing together firmly with your husband?
Well, I think you have to be, you got to be on the same page. We got to have the same vision. We have the same heart, be on the same, what's God speaking, what's God doing, and knowing your roles too.
Yeah.
So like our roles look a little bit different. Joe Woody is usually the one that's up here preaching, and I may be the one up here, I've been praying for him. I may be the one out here holding the babies, doing whatever we got to do. But you have to know kind of where your role is, and to support mm-hmm. them and to pray for them and to encourage them. That being in ministry, that some days you may be having an off day. And it's funny how I may be having an off day and he's my encourager right then. Yeah. And he's having an off day and I'm to come along him and to encourage him. But knowing your role and knowing to support each other, we have to be going in the same direction. Yeah. I can't be wanting to go over here and him wanting to go over here. There's going to be a divide. But knowing, praying together and knowing our direction, our vision, where we're going, and knowing our role and what we're supposed to be doing.
I loved how you said that you're each other's encouragement, because, man, if I can tell you one thing, it's when I'm in the worst mood ever, she's in the best mood ever, and vice versa.
And you don't always want it.
Yeah, you're really, most of the time you're like, I don't want to hear that right now. Can you please not be so happy? Mm-hmm. And, but, I always take that as God's like, hey, I sent this person for this reason, so you can take it or leave it, mm-hmm. but she's still going to be here, mm-hmm. Hey, be in a good mood, And
I think your spouse too, you probably have strengths that she may not, and she has strengths that you may not have. God just works with those, there are things that he's good at that may not be my strong point, and vice versa. And God meshes those together and you work together. God just places you together to work for one goal,
Yep. And see, man, you're saying some awesome stuff. I love the way you said that, because, how you hear in marriage, oh, well, God attracts opposites. Well, I agree with that, but I disagree with that at the same time. Because I agree with it. Me and Michaela aren't going to see everything the same
mm-hmm.
way. But at the same time, we're the same because we came together,
mm-hmm.
but we came together to create the whole, to fill in all of the gaps. Yeah, we might not agree on the same things sometimes, but we agree that we're both going to stand here as the wall,
mm-hmm.
right? So opposites, to me, it's in the opposite attract thing. We attract because we're both missing the opposite things mm-hmm. in our life. And God's like, yeah, it's because I made y'all's puzzle pieces to go perfectly together.
Yeah. And you learn to trust each other. There are some times that, Joe Woody, you'll say, and I'm very thankful for him. He's an incredible leader, not only to, a lot of other people, but just who you see up here and out there, that's who he is at home. That is truly how he is. I'm very, very grateful and very blessed for that. But there will be things that he'll say, hey, I feel this. And I may be like, I may not be the opposite, but maybe God hadn't spoken, but I trust him. We trust each other. And same way, I may say something, I trust you. You know, we're going to go with that. We know the vision we're going for. We're on the same page. We have the same goal. You learn to trust each other. You know, you can't do it without trusting.
100%.
Yeah.
Dude, that's very good. I like that. So how do you, in your ministry, surround yourself with other people that want to grow the ministry that y'all guys are doing as a whole together? Like, how do you surround yourself or find yourself surrounded with other like-minded individuals that all have the same end goal, where they want to see the church flourish instead of just having what we like to call pew warmers? You have people that are on fire. Yeah.
I will say this, like, coming here to this church, we have been incredibly blessed because we have a group of people that have a servant's heart, and the vision that God's given us, they are wanting to run with it. You know, they're like, yes, this is exactly what we want. And you find those people that are wanting to get out there and wanting to serve and wanting to do those, and you help build them up and come alongside you, because that's what, you know, we're leading. You know, we're leading right there with you. You know, you guys, and like I said, we can't do it without them. But you surround yourself with those people, and communication is key, to communicate clearly to what we're doing. But you surround yourself with them, and then to also, I think it's important to have accountability. Yeah. So I need somebody in my life that's been there and that's done it. You know, like for us, we have ministers in our life that they've been there, they've done this, they've done what we're doing. How did you get there? We want your advice. We want your mentorship. How did you get there? Help us to grow as we're growing.
That's good. I like that. That's very good. It's definitely one of the things that me and Joe Woody was talking about, was that even in my ministries that I'm currently working in, I still have those people that I go to. Hey man, I really don't know what I'm supposed to do here. What did you do in this situation? And, you know, like you said, that God sends you people that you can build up, you know, and it's crazy because at the time you're just like, oh God, I don't know how we're going to do this. And he's like, I got you, don't worry, you know, and it's amazing, especially what y'all guys are doing, man. I'm telling you right now, it's mighty moves of God are coming, and y'all guys are doing an amazing job here. And I really feel like that God placed y'all here for a reason. It's not just oh, well, this is open. No, God said, hey, y'all guys are here because I want you here.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, like I said, I can't say it enough. Like, the people we have had, no opposition, no anything. Like, our people are just, let's run with it. Let's go. You know, let's get out. Let's reach the lost. Let's do what we got to do. They want to see the church grow. They want to see people come to Jesus. They truly have a heart for the lost. They truly have that. And so we have been very blessed that God planted us right here, because he has surrounded us. He just naturally did it. He just surrounded us with people who want to see that growth.
That's awesome, man. That's amazing. So how important is it to you? Ooh, this actually goes perfectly together with what you just said. How important is it to you to embrace your community and truly show the love of God?
Oh, that's huge. Your community has to know that you're there for them. Your community has to know that that you want to see their needs met. Your community needs to see you be in the hands and feet of Jesus. I know you guys came up earlier, and today we had since being pastors here, we had one of our first outreaches. And just right over here by our church, we have all these apartment complexes, all these apartments with the people that, you know, they have a need. And we want to show them the love of Jesus. We want to invite them to church. Yeah. But instead of just inviting them to church, we said, hey, we're going to feed you a meal. You know, we're going to get you, and we want to show them, hey, we love you. We're here for you. We're going to support you. We want to feed you. And then when you get them there, then we were inviting them, you know, hey, also we're having a Palm Sunday service. We're doing all this stuff. Come. A lot of them didn't even, you know, maybe they've never experienced anything like that. But it's so important to be involved in your community. Your community needs to see you out and about. It's so important. Yeah. Your community needs to see you be in the hands and feet of Jesus. Your community needs to know where they can go when they have a need. It is absolutely important to be a part of your community and just let them see you. Get involved in every area that you can. You know, that was our first outreach. You know, our next, we want to get involved in our schools, in our local schools, and in our FCA, and you know, our our sheriff's department's just right down here. We want to show them our support. We want to let the community know that we're here for you. We love you and we support you. What's your need? How can we help you?
That's awesome. Like, and when when we first was talking to y'all guys about coming down here, and y'all were like, "Oh yeah, we're doing an outreach," I was just like, "Dang, dude, that's awesome!" Because and our church, we do so many outreaches, but one of the things that I grew up in was just the way y'all guys just did outreaches, and I find that is a missing piece in churches, because what y'all guys just did today is one of those, let me meet you where you're at.
Yes.
You don't have to come to me. Let me come to you.
That's so good.
Yeah. And it's, people don't look at it like that anymore. They're like, oh, well, they know where we're at. Well, do they?
Right.
Do they know where you're at? Do they know who's there?
Right.
And I find that, like, even like going into the lesser communities and stuff like that, it's one of those things that I had some friends that used to, when I was younger, they would live down there, and sometimes that was the only way that they got to eat that day, was because of that outreach. And one of my close friends, I call him a close friend, is one of my very close people that I know. He said that was the only way that him and his siblings got to eat, because he would just snag a couple of them, and it was just hot dogs. We were doing puppet shows and all that stuff when I was a kid, and he said he would snag them, and he's like, I know y'all probably didn't see me stealing them, and I was still real young, and my mom and dad were like, oh, we knew that you were taking them. We're not going to tell you can't. And he's like, yeah, well, little did y'all know that that's how we survived when we were kids, with stuff like that. And I think people actually miss what embracing your community is actually about. It's not just, oh, well, let's give them a free meal. It's let's show them the face of God.
Yes.
This is what God looks like, God's love. And, that's one of the things me and Michaela were talking about on the way down here, was that that's some of the things that's missing, is you're truly showing the love of God, the walk. I'm walking with God, and I love you so much because he's opened my eyes and let me see you how he sees you as his child, that he wants to come back home.
Yes.
So I love that y'all guys did this community outreach. It was amazing.
And one of the biggest things that we've learned is people just want a connection. They want to connect with you. They want to see what you're about. They want you to be involved in their life, and they want a connection. So one of the biggest things we've learned in ministry is it's about, so a lot of times you got to get that connection first. Yeah. You have to build that connection. And if it's giving them a free hot dog and just letting them know what we're about, letting them know that we're here, hey, that's a connection. We're starting to build a connection with you now. Now you know our faces. Now you see us. Now you know what we're about. There's a connection. Building a connection with people is huge. And I'll tell you one story that just blessed me, and I don't know if Joe Woody shared it with you on his, but last Sunday after church, we said, hey, we're going to go hand out flyers and just let everybody know that we're going to be down there next Saturday. Everybody was unbelievably receptive. Not one person was upset, that we were there to invite them free food. Everybody was very, very thankful. But one little lady, some of our guys knocked on her door, and she was an elderly lady, probably in her 80s or so. And she comes to the door with her little dog. That's all she had was her little dog. And we were walking by to go to the next person's house, and the men stopped us and said, hey, this is our pastor. This is Joe Woody and his wife, Kelly, and told us her name. And she was just so thankful. She said, I just sat here, and I've just been waiting on someone to invite me. She said, I've just been waiting. She said, it's just me and my little dog, and I've just been waiting on someone to come and invite me. How many people are out there just like that? It broke my heart and blessed me all at the same time. And she's like, I'm going to come. That was last Sunday. She said, I'm going to come because I've just been waiting. How many people are out there just waiting on you to do something? How many people are just out there waiting on what God's called you to do? How many people are out there just waiting? I know when God first started working on me and pulling me, I didn't accept Jesus until I was about 25. But God, for a couple of years, had really just been pulling on me, even stronger than he had been. And I would sit there and think, if someone would just invite me, I'll go. And it took a little bit for someone to come along, but how many people are just out there waiting on the invite? How many people are just out there waiting on you to come love on them and show them Jesus? And that little lady, you know, it blessed me, and it fired me up to go, all right, like I'm ready to do this all the time, you know, like let's go do more. How many people are just like her?
Yep. That is very true. That's amazing, man. That's testimony in itself. But and I agree with you, like 100%. How many people are just sitting there, waiting on you to be obedient to what God's telling you to do?
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that. It's because it's sometimes I feel like us in ministry, what I say in ministry, as people as a whole, as a body of believers, we sit there and like, God, I ain't doing that. And because, you know, to us, some things are silly. And we had no idea what that little thing means to other people. Perfect example for me is I had these youth kids show up, and God was telling me to tell them this stuff, and I was like, no, we're just new in youth ministry. I was like, nope. And then next week he comes back, and it's him and his brother both. And he's like, good, now you get to tell both of them. I was like, okay. And I went and I told them what God told me to tell them, and they were just both just looking at me like, I'm like, yeah, good one. And, you know, walked back to waiting for, we were at a altar, so doing an altar service, and I walked back to where I was standing. I turned around, and they're both bawling, holding each other, hugging, and crying. And something that meant nothing to me, words that meant nothing to me, meant everything to them. And I think that's what people are so scared of, actually stepping out in that faith and just doing something simple that God asks you to do.
And just always know that Holy Spirit goes before you. So if he's told you to do something, he's already prepared the way. If he's told you to speak something to someone, if he's told you to do an outreach, he's already gone. Those people, when God tells you to do something, he's already worked on the hearts of those. So they were ready to receive that. And whatever you had to say, they were ready to, it's what they needed, because God had already gone before you.
That's amazing. Whew, that's good. Due to technical difficulties, we had a change for our last question, but we have now in the same setting, but different chairs.
Different chairs.
Yeah. So like I said to you, man, this is one of the questions that is really near and dear to my heart, because each leader has so much great input to give out on what this takes. So my last question for you today will be, if somebody came up to you and was like, man, Kelly, God's called me to ministry, I just don't know where to start. I know he's called me to ministry. What would be your advice to them where to start in ministry?
I would say just stay close to God and stay sensitive to his Holy Spirit and what he's telling you to do, where he's telling you to serve at. And take every opportunity that you can to serve. And maybe you even have to find out where that's at. You know, there's lots of different areas in ministry, but stay close to God and hear his voice and what he's calling you to do, what he's telling you to do, and it will come to you, you know. Sometimes you know exactly what area it's going to be, and sometimes you just feel God's calling me to serve in something. Just be sensitive to him, be sensitive to his voice and where he's leading you, what he's telling you to do. I think that's very, very important.
No, I definitely agree. I'm glad that you said that, because it's like one of the things that people are scared of is doing that step out in faith, right?
Yes.
Because, yeah, God's called me to ministry, but I have no idea what it looks like, and they're scared to step in any direction, you know, and that's one of the things that I found, like you said, is just starting somewhere, even if it's, everybody uses the example of stacking chairs. You know, even if you're stacking chairs, you're doing it for God, which is crazy, because I just talked to a dude at work about, he was super mad because something happened at work, and I was like, dude, he's like, how can you be happy while you're doing this while all this dumb stuff's going on? I said, honestly, I always go back to the word, because it says do everything as if you're doing it unto the Lord. Because if I can build this whatever like I'm doing it for God, why wouldn't I be happy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You take every opportunity you can to just serve. And just like you said, do it unto God. I have a story I'll share with you too. Vant, you know, a part of youth ministry is running the van. If you've been in youth ministry,
Yep.
you know what it's like to run the van. And sometimes finding people to drive the van, maybe it can be hard to do. So you take it on yourself. But I will tell you that even just this little example, our van is a ministry all in itself. And I can tell you countless of times that we would take a student home and they would just open up and share on the van. And that was more ministry time right there than, I may have had all throughout the service with people, because it was a one-on-one and they would really open up to us and take every opportunity. You may not even look at van ministry but you never know what God's going to do, like what kid's going to open up to you. I would have them all the time. They'd say, Kelly, can I be the last one to be dropped off? And I knew, I'm like, that kid needs to talk to me. There's something going on. So take every moment and look for a ministry opportunity in that. And serving, it's a ministry. It's a ministry opportunity, every area, and learn from every area. What can I do to serve here?
Absolutely. That's amazing. I'm glad I'm actually really excited that you said van ministry is a ministry, because that's one of the things me and Michaela hold near and dear. And it's one of the things that, and I've even got told, oh, well, you don't have to do it if you don't. Oh, I want to do it because this is where I actually get to sit here and talk to them, and I don't have to worry about anything else other than talking to them and finding out. And if you're having a problem, guess what? I'm right here with you. I can address this with you. That's amazing.
And when you're in ministry, just, staying close to God, just staying close to his voice, staying in his presence, staying in the word, and just carrying the presence with you everywhere you go. It's important. Those things in ministry you absolutely have to have. And having somebody too that is higher up than you, holding yourself accountable to someone, gleaning from someone who's been there and who knows the way and can help you along your way.
That's amazing. Well, thank you again so much for being on our show. If y'all guys are in the Wilburton, Oklahoma area and you're looking for amazing pastoral leaders, amazing church to go to, come down to the River Church, and you will find no better pastors than Kelly
thank you so
Joe
much.
Woody.
We're honored to have you guys say that, and honored to have you guys here with us. So
thank you.
So thank you for this opportunity.
Oh yeah,
we've enjoyed it.
I'm just super happy y'all guys said yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Well, y'all guys come back next week. Another amazing leader will be on here next week.